hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin.
All right.
Number 10.
San Francisco. Now, they're 3-0, and they can be very turnover prone. They're a young team, and young teams like Cleveland make more mistakes. Garoppolo, 9-2 as a starter under Kyle Shanahan. You know I love Kyle Shanahan, but the story of this team is defense. Last year, they couldn't take the ball away. I mean, they just gave up drive after drive. This year, they're second in the NFL with 7 takeaways. The guys they drafted in the secondary can play. Their pass rush now with Bosa is better, and they're second in total defense. Now, that's rare. When you can get a great offensive coach and you're actually rated higher on the defensive side. Now, again, I think they're going to end up being a football team that's fun to watch and beating themselves in big games. They are really young, but they do a lot of exotics, a lot of different shifts. They're tremendously young and talented on the perimeter, San Francisco at 10.
Number 9.
I may have underrated the New Orleans Saints. Listen, Teddy Bridgewater, the reason I said they're not going to go away, Teddy Bridgewater in his last 19 starts is 13-6. He's actually not a bad replica of Drew Brees. Smart, grown up, not real scrambler, doesn't throw the ball down the field, but very coachable. Their defense is excellent. And by the way, they are all 3 teams they played this year were playoff teams last year. The Rams, Seattle, and Houston. So they have arguably played the toughest schedule in the NFL. I thought going to Seattle, if you watch that game, they beat Seattle defensively. They beat Seattle in special teams. They beat them up front. They beat them in coaching. That was actually a really impressive game. And by the way, the Saints, now over the next 4 or 5 weeks, play a lot of teams they should be favored over. Saints at 9.
Number 8.
Well, I like Houston. My knock on Houston has been Deshaun can be a little turnover prone. He has not been this year. Only 2 turnovers all year for Deshaun. And when you play with his style, you will fumble more. He's not. The other thing is they're getting sacked less each game. 6 sacks in game 1, 4 in game 2, 2 the last game. Why? Because they went out and got Laramie Tunzel. They are now playing their top draft pick on the left side of their offensive line. Their offensive line is still a work in progress, but the left side of it, which for a right-handed quarterback is the more important side because he can't see that, the left side of their O-line is better. Deshaun has pulled back on turnovers. I think they'll win this division for the foreseeable future due to Deshaun's greatness and Andrew Luck's retirement. They're at 8.
Number 7.
I think Buffalo's for real. And I know, first of all, I've said, great coaching staff, excellent defense. Here's the gem on Buffalo. 3-0. They have scored on TD drives of 85 yards, 80, 75, 70, 98, 75, 73, 78. You do that when you got an offensive line. Okay, this is a cold weather team. They're built to win in the cold. That's why they drafted Josh Allen. Huge arm. When you play in Buffalo, you can't have Case Keenum. You have a guy that can throw it. And they have built this offensive and defensive line to win in cold weather. They are putting the ball on the ground, and these are 75, and they're not Kansas City. They're not in the red zone at midfield. They're the opposite of Kansas City, but it's been incredibly effective, and I love this coaching staff. Number 7.
Number 6.
Green Bay Packers. Again, last year their issue was sometimes Aaron Rodgers sits on the sideline and watches the game. Right now they have 8 takeaways. Like San Francisco, that's the difference. When you get a takeaway and you give the ball to Aaron Rodgers, that's even better. They lead the NFL in takeaways. They're second in scoring defense. They're tied for 3rd in sacks. I still can't believe Washington wouldn't pay for Preston Smith. They got Adrian Amos in the back end. That Savage, that rookie from Maryland's a monster hitter. This is a real defense. It's going to end up the year being a top 10 defense. Don't worry about Aaron Rodgers' offense. Just get out of that space. You know, you look at some stats with Green Bay, and it's been a little choppy. Come on, they played Denver, Chicago, Minnesota. The defenses this point forward get significantly easier. The defense is the story for Green Bay.
Number 5.
You know, I put the Rams here, and I know everybody, they're 3-0. But I got to tell you, Todd Gurley, he's not the same. They do not have the juice in the backfield. I like Jared Goff. He's a better home quarterback than a road quarterback. So what? So was Carson Wentz. So was Mitch Trubisky. Most young quarterbacks are better at home than on the road. And I will say this. I do think they have a very good coach, and they don't have a liability. Like their secondary, their D-line, their O-line's getting old, their receivers, they're kind of B at everything. Now, they used to be B at everything with Todd Gurley A+, and Aaron Donald A+. But I worry about the running game here. It just doesn't have the juice, meaning good luck in the NFC in shootouts because Goff isn't yet ready to, on a regular basis, outdo Mahomes. He did it once, but the offense doesn't feel as dynamic as a year ago.
Number 4.
I told you, Baltimore Ravens blew me away. I don't care they lost. They lead the NFL in time. You know, get used to that world. The other thing, this is what I like. To be as dynamic as Lamar is, generally, and Brett Favre threw a lot of interceptions. Like that, when you're running around and making plays, you make turnovers. Lamar Jackson hasn't thrown an interception since week 11 of last year. So I get all the upside of his mobility. I get his running. But he's not making the big rookie mistakes, which, by the way, Baker Mayfield is. Baker Mayfield's got like 16 interceptions in a year. So I'm getting all the upside of Lamar. And again, this is growing. He's a kid. I get no turnovers. I get a great running game. I think Baltimore is no fun to play. They're contrarian to the league. They've done a great job in coaching. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
I'm going to go Dallas Cowboys. My only question with Dallas is, they haven't played very good teams, so I know they're good. When I look at Dallas, I see 8 great young players. Amari, Dak, Zeke, DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Jones, Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith. I see nothing but talent. I like their defensive line. Their offensive line gets all the credit. I like their defensive line. They're first on third down offense. What does that tell you? Third down and 3, they get the push on the offensive line. It's still, I think, when healthy, the best offensive line in football. Third in rushing. And the other thing, they've only allowed 1 sack. Now, some of that's Dak's pretty good at moving around. The other thing is, when healthy, this is the best offensive line probably the last 5 years in the NFL, 4 to 5, maybe 6 years in the NFL. Dallas at 3.
Number 2.
Kansas City. I mean, listen, Patrick Mahomes, 14 straight games, over 2 touchdown passes. Okay, they're going to break the Peyton Manning record. I don't even know what to tell you. That's the Warriors 6 years ago hitting threes. How do you explain it? They're changing the game. Now, I will say this. The reason they're not number 1 is they got to get another corner. I do not think, now, they'll probably win most of those firework shows. They are deficient at corner. And who's my number 1 team?
Number 1.
The team that would beat you if you're deficient at corner, New England. Now, I will say this. New England's got real issues here. They just lost Devlin, their fullback, and you could see Bill Belichick at the press conference. He didn't like that. They got no Gronk. They have a left tackle health issue. They lost their center for the year. Their wide receivers are a mess. AB's gone. Edelman's hurt. Chris Hogan's gone. Gronk retired, and the rookie's on IR. This is, the last couple of years we felt like everybody helped Brady. Brady's keeping this puppy afloat. They have all sorts of offensive issues, but I will say this. Their defense, they're the first team since the 1951 Cleveland Browns, and who would forget those teams, to shut out 5 straight opponents in the first half. And that includes Patrick Mahomes. This defense is rangy, fast. It's the best secondary. They lead the NFL in pressures. Their linebackers hit and can run. It's smart. It's well coached. You can't beat them over the top. This defense, until they get healthy at wide receiver, will probably win them all but one of their next 7-8 games. I've got them losing one. Maybe sooner than you think. There is the herd hierarchy. You know what? I have my clock today. What time is it? The clock's not working over there. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, sorry about that, America. I don't know where I need my clock. Some things that you need. I need my morning coffee and I need my clock in life.
It's going to be one of those days.
If I don't have a clock, I'm just absolutely lost.
I think I'd move the Packers up to 4.
Here's what I worry about the Packers, because I thought about that. If you look at their offensive stats, it's like shocking. They're like 30th here, 28th there. Part of me is like bad defense. Part of me is like they should be better than that. Like I would get 15th, 16th, 14th with Aaron. When Aaron's 30th in something, my question is, are they a little further behind offensively? Because they got Devontae Adams, they got Aaron Jones. They always have good O-lines. They have Aaron Rodgers. They should be a little better offensively, although you play the Bears, Vikings, Denver, you're not going to score a bunch of points.
Right.
But you got to be better than 30th at stuff.
I don't know. I just feel like they're a more complete team.
They're really they're good. They don't have a lot of holes. I think a real mystery in this league is the Rams.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley's not the same player. He's just not. Like he's okay. He's a B back. He was after Zeke, the best player. And there were arguments that he was better than Zeke a year ago. And you watch him now and you're like, he just does not have the juice. And I think the Rams see that as well. So good stuff. Peter King is around the corner. All sorts of stuff happening. Hard to believe summer is in the rear view mirror. But October is the new business year. January 1st is obviously the new year. October can be the new business year. You want to wrap things up before October gets here. You want to do that as a business. You also want to do that as an individual. And right now, legal